Hey guys, it's Amy with Recipe Tryouts, and today we are making beef bourguignon. It's family dinner Sunday, so we're having my parents over, my husband's parents over, so hopefully this turns out. Let's get started. Okay, y'all. So what we're doing first is our bacon lardons. I'm using pork belly because that's all they had, which is annoying, but whatever. Okay. You sure you got your gloves and your bowl for the pieces? Oh shit, it's still frozen together. That's okay. So, what we're doing is we're just slicing it into pieces. Keep that part there. Okay. We are going to use these later, so you don't want to save them. You don't want to throw them away. You want to save them. Okay, y'all, so we got our Dutch oven that I always use for this heating up. We have our slices of pork belly bacon, just like these. So what we're doing is just letting this heat up real good. It feels like it's getting there. And we also preheat our oven to 450 to make sure that we have it at the temperature it's needed for when we have to put this all in the oven. So, go ahead and get the bacon in there. Just all of it. And also gonna do a drizzle of olive oil. And get our handy dandy spatula. And just kind of cook it until they're kind of browned a little bit. And we're going to start with our meat. So while that's cooking, I went ahead and washed the bowl that we used to hold the raw bacon. That way we can just put the cooked bacon right back in it. Just never want to put cooked stuff where cooked meat where raw meat was, because then you get the germs and it's gross. Okay guys, so these are pretty well browned. So we're gonna move them back to our bowl and start on our meat. Where's my phone? Put it back in here. Our cleaned bowl. Oven's ready. We'll just leave it there for now. Okay. Let's set this aside. Get gloves. So now what we're gonna do is get our meat open and put in here. There. Gloves. Okay. Put a couple more pieces in there. Yes, I know we're cooking it like a layer at a time. It's okay. We'll just cook this meat and then move on. This meat you're cooking until it's browned on all sides. And then moving it to a bowl. This batch is about done already. It shouldn't take very long at all. If it does, your heat's not high enough or the meat was too wet, something along those lines. So, okay. So, we got our bowl. Your tongs. Just get the meat out. And start on the next batch. Okay guys, so while that is going, the last batch, we are going to slice our onion and carrot. Grab another knife. It's in the dishwasher. Okay, so another knife. So we're going to start with our onion. Cut off that end. Cut off that end. Well, a little bit more than that. There we go. I cut it in half to make it easier to cut, to slice, whatever. Peel the onion. And just slice. Not dicing, not mincing, just slicing. Throw it in the bowl. Get the other part and do the same. In the bowl. Stir your meat. sure it's not getting too brown. Okay. Get your carrots. Watermelon. Peel them. Yeah. Okay. Cut the ends. Slice them up. Okay, so now check on your meat. Nice and brown. A little browner than I would have liked, but whatever. Move meat into the bowl. Set the bowl aside. There's like nothing left in here, dang. Throw a little more olive oil in there. Let it heat up. As it has done. Onion. Carrots. Saute around. Once the veggies are nice and sauteed in the fat, get the meat, take that out, and put it back in here. Next steps are to a little bit of sauce, a little bit of that, toss it around, toss it around. So now, next is a little flour. Now this is going to put a little coating on the meat so that it continues to brown pretty nicely. A bit more. Okay, cool. So let's just stir that all around until the meat's coated pretty well. Oops. Get it, Leo. Get it, Precious. Dog's got a meat treat. Okay. So now that the meat is nice and coated, we are going to put it in the oven. Okay. So we're going to turn this off. Get our oven mitts. And, excuse me, dog. We're going to put this in the oven, uncovered, for 4 minutes. 4 minutes. Then we're going to toss the meat, then put on for another 4 minutes. Okay, so while we're doing that, I'm going to cut our mushrooms so that they are ready when we need them. I'm going to put them in the bowl we had the carrots and onions in. Yes, you're going to use all these mushrooms. Take the stems out. Any grass. Go. Okay. So, with these mushrooms, we're just going to quarter them up and get them ready to saute. Okay, y'all, got our mushrooms ready. Got our wine open. Now this recipe calls for a full-bodied young wine, so I got a 2020 Chianti. Chianti? I don't know. Anyway, went ahead and opened it because it's brand new. And we're just waiting on the meat. Okay, meat is done in the oven, so let's grab it out. We turn this oven down to 325. Okay, so the meat's ready. So now what we gotta do is okay, so you're gonna add tomato paste, wine, beef broth, garlic, beef broth. And today I'm just going to use this stuff. It works. Tomato paste. And I gotta open up. Okay. So first we add the wine. Now one of these bottles is 3 cups. So, whole bottle. Give that a little stir. Okay. Next we add enough bouillon so that the meat is barely covered. It's barely covered already, but let's just go ahead and add some of this in there. There we go. Give that a good little stir. Okay. Now we add the tomato paste. Tablespoon. How much is a tablespoon, y'all? Got that. Oh, dog. Garlic. Now, I measure garlic with my heart. So, there we go. Give that a nice little stir around. Kind of mix it as much as possible, especially with that tomato paste. Then the herbs, which is thyme, a bay leaf, okay. It says a crumpled bay leaf, so we're just gonna have to get the bay leaf and crunch it. Okay, so let's stir that in. Love the way bay leaves smell. Okay, and then bacon. Yeah, I'm gonna put this stuff in there. I'm not using that. Okay. So let's turn this back on. We're going to bring it to a simmer, and then we are going to put it in the oven for more time. Okay, y'all, so for this dish, in addition to the veggies that are in the stuff, I'm also going to roast some potatoes so that we have something else to go with it. So yeah, I just got a bunch of petite gold potatoes. What I'm gonna do, just quarter them up, just like that. Now, the tinier ones, the itty bitty ones, so usually they're about this big, but this one's this big. So these little ones, I'm just cutting in half because if you cut it too small, it'll roast too fast and it will not come out right and you'll just end up throwing it away anyway. So the larger ones, quarter. The itty bitty babies, half. Okay, y'all, so this is starting to simmer. So we are going to go ahead and turn this heat off. Get the cover and put it in our oven. Now our oven is set to 325 and you're gonna cook it in there for approximately 2.5 to 3 hours. So, okay. So we'll just use the timer on our oven here. Timer. Okay, so the timer's going, and in about an hour, what we're gonna do is use this pan to do our mushrooms and our onions. Okay, y'all, so as I just said, the meat is gonna be roasting in there for about 2.5 hours. About an hour in, we're gonna start on our onions, because you got pearl onions and you have to saute them in some olive oil and some butter, and then make an herb bouquet thing and put it in there and let them kind of braise in beef stock with the butter and olive oil and herbs till they're kind of brownish. About 10 or 15 minutes depending on stuff. But then, after that's done, we're gonna saute our mushrooms and then stick our potatoes in the oven on the bottom shelf underneath our Dutch oven thing to roast while the meat is finishing braising. So, we're gonna do all that. It's gonna be a good time, guys. Okay, y'all, so now it has been about an hour into our cooking of the meat in the stove, in the oven, I mean. So now we are going to start our mushrooms and onions. First one we're gonna do is the mushrooms. So you got about 2 tablespoons of butter here. Then put about a tablespoon of oil. Let that melt up. Let's get our mushrooms. Get it all melty. Nice and melty. While it's melting, you can get your butter ready for the onions, because you're going to need about the same amount. About 2 tablespoons of butter. Okay. So the butter is getting nice and melted. Just kind of try to keep it all together. Butter's melted and it's a little bubbly. So let's put our mushrooms in. And just stir it around. You're gonna see something cool here. So the mushrooms will actually soak up all of the liquid, all the fats and stuff in the oil and in the butter. And then when they're sauteing, they'll release it back out. It's pretty cool. So just watch this cooking magic. See how much it's already melted, taken up the fat. Just stir them around and saute them a bit. Okay, they've soaked up all that fat. So now, just gonna saute them until they start releasing it again. And once they've released quite a bit, then we're gonna take them and put them back in our bowl and start on our onions. Just wipe this out. Now the onions and mushrooms, we're gonna just put in the same bowl when they're cooked because they're gonna go in the dish at the same time. So once we've done the onions and mushrooms, then we'll start on the potatoes. See it's starting to let out some of that liquid. You can see it here, over here. Just keep going until a little more is out. It's interesting how this happens, huh? I like it. Okay. So, I want the mushrooms to kind of look a little bit browned, but not too browned on here. So these are about done. Let's go ahead and put them in our bowl. Put this back here. It's actually a tablespoon and a half of butter for the onions, then a tablespoon and a half of that. A little bit more. There we go. Just roll this around, let that melt pretty good. While the butter's melting and doing its thing here, we get our onions and open them up. Using pearl onions that were frozen, so they're thawed pretty well. It's just mix up this onion and butter. Okay, so that's melted and bubbly. Go ahead and put the onions in. And just kind of scoot them around till they're sauteed in that stuff. Get the other couple things we need real quick. The herb bouquet. Let's turn on light. Okay, so we have our onions browning up a bit. I kind of want to gently stir them around, and they're not going to brown evenly. So you just want to kind of roll them around in here a little bit just to get them browned a bit. They're starting to already, so that's good. If you're too rough with these onions, with pearl onions at all, the casings will fall apart. The outside layers will come off. You really don't want that to happen, because then they just turn to mush, and it's gross. So kind of roll them around a bit. Okay. They're starting to brown pretty nicely. It's just barely browning, but that's fine. You don't want them to be like brown. You just want to get them like a light tan. Like a spring break tan, kind of. You know, where you're outside on vacation, or if you're, you know, outside working during spring break or whatever. Kind of want them that color, the lighter color of a tan if you tan. I don't, I burn. So definitely don't want that. Don't want to burn, just tan. Okay, so they're starting to brown up a bit. So that's good. Okay. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna leave them on medium heat and pour in just enough beef to So we're going to pour in some beef stock here. Now the actual recipe says about half a cup, but I use a little more, just so that they don't get too dry too fast. So it's probably about, it's closer to a cup, I suppose. Now roll them around a little bit. It says to season, so I just kind of sprinkle with that. A little bit of that. Roll them around, just so that we can get the salt and pepper spread evenly around here. Okay, so we got that. Kind of move them away from the edge. Leave a little spot for our herb bouquet. Get that in there. Get them all around it. Okay. Turn it down just a hair past medium low. And cover. And these will cook for about 40 minutes. That's 40, not 14. 40 minutes. Check them every once in a while. Just give them a stir and make sure that they're not drying out or burning. That way you don't have gross onions, because it does get gross. Okay guys, so we have, while that's cooking, it's about an hour. So we have our potatoes here. What we're gonna do is drizzle them in some olive oil. Then sprinkle in a little bit of thyme. A little bit of salt. I'm not gonna put any pepper on them because there's a lot of pepper in the dish. But I am going to use some a little bit of nature seasons, just for, okay. Now we can get a little spoon here and just stir them up, mixing them up, making sure everything is coated evenly as much as possible. Might need a little more olive oil here. Now what we're gonna do is get a sheet pan. Just use this big one right here. This one's almost out, but we're gonna spray it with a little bit of cooking spray. There we go. Stir these one more time. Okay, and then just put them on the baking sheet. Spread them out as evenly as possible. I know it might be hard because there's a lot of them, that's okay. Like I said, just do it as you can. Some things are hard. It's okay. It's alright if it's hard. Just means that you can work a little harder. But if you're already putting in all of your effort, all of your will, all of your strength into something, and it's still really fucking hard, then don't do it. Just stop. It's okay. Ask for help. Say, hey, I need help with this. It's really freaking hard. Fucking dying here. Just, yeah. Okay, so this will go in the oven until the meat is done on the bottom rack of the oven. So since the oven is so low of a temperature, usually I would roast potatoes at like 425. So for like half an hour, but since it's at 325 because of the braising we're doing with the beef and the carrots and onions, what we're gonna do is let it go for an hour. Check it every after half an hour. Check it at half an hour, then check it every 10 minutes after that, just to make sure that it's not browning too much or burning or something like that. Then continue with the rest of your dish. Okay, y'all, so the onions are done. So we're going to turn that off. Discard of this herb. Okay. And we're just gonna slide the onions in with the mushrooms because they're all going in the same place here in a bit. So there we go. And that is the onions and mushrooms for the beef bourguignon. Okay, y'all. So the meat has finished cooking, possibly. I know the potatoes are done. So let's get out the potatoes. Set them on the counter over there. If your counter is not heat resistant, make sure you have something under it. Oh, let's check this out. Don't turn the oven off yet, just in case. Ooh, that's pretty, huh? Alright, so let's do a little... New one. Let's do a little poke around here. So, looks pretty good. Smells amazing. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna get a strainer, big strainer, and we are gonna turn our oven off. Turn the oven off. Get your strainer. We're gonna strain. Strain out the meat and onions and carrots, because we're going to use the juice that's in there as sauce. Just put it in here in a warm casserole dish. This one. Okay, so there's not a whole ton left in here. So what we're gonna do, set that dish up there. Move this one over here. Bring the sauce pot and the sieve, whatever, over here, and just pour this in here. so that it'll all strain out and we can work on our sauce. Now whatever's left in here, we're going to kind of push it around, get as much of that sauce out as possible. Okay, put it in here. And in this as well, we're gonna get our onions and mushroom. I'm going to distribute that around this meat. Let's bring it forward a bit. Sorry, guys. Okay, there we go. Set that aside. Set this aside. And put this back up here so it stays warm. This little guy we're gonna make a sauce with. I'm gonna turn the heat onto medium. Let me see. Okay, we're gonna simmer the sauce for a little bit. Skimming off any fat that rises. There shouldn't be a whole lot because most of it we got out already. So whenever it's been simmering a couple minutes, we should have about 2.5 cups thick enough to coat a spoon lightly. But if we don't, we're gonna do if we don't have enough in here, there's some fat there. You might have to do cornstarch and simmer, not boil. Let's see, do I have a... Alright, let me get the little one. Our little strainer sieve thing. Just scoop out any solids that come up. Okay, so we're gonna let that simmer and we're going to work on getting our potatoes ready. So here we have them. Let's get our bowl. Our cleaned bowl here. Reuse this one, just stir them around a bit, make sure they're not sticking. It does look like they're sticking, which is super cool. If you want to try one, pop one in your mouth. Very good. So, get your bowl. Put them in the bowl. Okay. So let's get this towel and cover it up so it stays warm. And we'll move back to our sauce. Okay. So our sauce is simmery. Let's skim this off here. That's the fat they're talking about. Okay, got most of that off. Let's give it a little stir here just to check how it's doing. Okay, that's pretty good. I think we're going to add just a little bit of cornstarch and cold water. Okay, so you get a little bit of cold water. Okay, water. And get your cornstarch. Get just a little bit, you know, about that much. Dump it in here, mix it up. Then bring this, what's called a cornstarch slurry, back over to here. Skim off any fat that pops up. Okay. That should be good. Stir it around, check it out. Ooh, it's looking good. So this stuff, you pour it in slowly and just kind of stir it in. And you let it cook for a minute or two. And it will be the consistency that we need. So, yeah. So you just let that cook a minute, just to make sure that the slurry does its job and gets it thicker. As you can see, it's getting there. Don't leave the spoon in there because it'll hurt. There you have it, folks. That is our beef bourguignon, done in the style of our Lord and Savior, Julia Child. Yeah, it's really good. Yes, it takes a while. I started this, at like 1:30-ish. And here it is, 5:20, and it's still going. But it's fine. So, everything works. So, if you're going to have guests over at a certain time, make sure that you have ample time to make this if this is your intended dish. Anyway, y'all enjoy. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and also follow me on TikTok for more interesting recipes and updates. Thanks, guys.